All right, welcome back everybody to another new episode of A Whole New World, where we're here to put a spotlight on positive things happening in the community and developing that positive mindset. I am your host, Jacob New, handsome as ever, you're welcome. And our dad joke today is, did you guys hear about the girl who quit the... welcome back. What's that? Ghosts.
Yeah. Ghosts in the house.
So, did y'all hear about the girl who quit the donut factory? Yeah, she was fed up with the whole thing. Yes, it is. Yeah. I told you guys it was a good one. Dad jokes for days, y'all. We are very lucky to have with us Lori and David Beard here with us. Thank you guys for being on the show.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks.
And especially talking about like our positive mindset. We've just recently kind of developed our 5 pillars of the gratitude, resilience, acceptance, integrity, and mindfulness. And so for our listeners out there, can y'all tell us just a little bit about who are David and Lori? I don't do grammar well, so, but who are y'all?
You're a teacher.
Math and science.
Math and science.
That is the opposite end of the spectrum, grammar.
So I'm Lori, a Caribbean girl that just fell in love with this cute sweetheart from the U.S. at the time, and he conquered me, and I fell in love with him, and he asked me to marry him, and I said yes. So that's me.
Very nice.
To which I'm very surprised still.
You did a good job.
He has the power of persuasion for sure. Those blue eyes were the ones that the deal breaker.
That's good. I've heard the eyes are really what draw people in initially. So especially now that we're all wearing masks, I think that's like everybody's like, oh, look who's got good eyes.
That's so true. Yeah.
So, so we were talking just a little bit before the show, and y'all have, I think, a really powerful story with your journey as a couple and going through cancer together. Well, David, I believe you were the one that had cancer, right?
Correct.
Yes, okay. And then it was your journey together. But, so for what exactly, how would you describe y'all's relationship prior to finding out about the cancer?
Normal. I mean, same as any other couple, worried about kids and coordination, finances.
Yeah. How many kids do y'all have?
Just 8.
Just 8? Okay. That's too few.
That's right.
Too few. So 8 kids, finances, that's... See, normal for me would be like 2 kids. So like, how are y'all like balancing all that with the finances, y'all, and then like with the 8 kids, jobs? Like, how did that work? How was that working?
We didn't know any different, right? We took each of them one at a time, right? It's funny because we took each of them one at a time. We were done at 6, and then number 7 came as a total surprise, and then we all agreed in number 8, right? We had already,
Yeah, it's because she said that she doesn't like odd numbers.
Yeah. Okay.
She has to have the even number. So since we had 7, well, now we have to have 8.
It's easier to split in cars, right?
Well, no, because we already had the car big enough. So I'm like, hey, we have a 12-passenger van, so let's just even it out.
Let's fill it up.
Yeah, with friends, and with relatives and friends, if there's even room for that. So if we have 8. So, yeah. And like David said, we were a normal couple, trying to keep everything together. It's funny. Okay, so can we say this online, on air? So it's funny because we remodeled our bathroom, right? And the person that was there, he's like, okay, this is the time for you to ask for whatever. Once we start building or designing, it's over. You need to tell us right now what you want, some special feature or something. And I said, I want like a bench where I can sit and shave my legs or whatever. And then I also asked or requested for 2 shower heads.
Yeah.
One in each.
Yeah, I wanted that.
Okay.
One in each,
In the same shower, facing each other.
Yeah.
2 shower heads. And that person made it happen for us. So that's where I think, or we say all the time, that's where we had our little meetings. Okay, so you take somebody there and you take somebody at the same time. Nothing happened ever except for just business.
So.
They're like trying to coordinate our calendar and our trips to take somebody there and here or there. That was the quality time whenever we had the luxury of doing that together.
Have a
that
little
was
expo.
the time when kids wouldn't come in and bother us. So
Okay.
time to chat and coordinate.
Yeah.
Adults.
Bring your calendar.
to the waterproof calendar.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we were going through the motions. We were, going through the motion of all that organized, trying to make it an organized chaos.
Mm-hmm.
At the time of his diagnosis, though, 2 adult children were already out of the house, right? And starting their own families or doing their own thing. And a third one was just trying to get out of the house, like already with a girlfriend and things like that. So in the midst of his diagnosis, we were dealing with trying to figure out what this son was trying to do, what was he doing and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But
teenagers.
I know.
Right.
So it was very emotional at the beginning, very surprised. Well, it wasn't surprising for me, but let me just let you ask the next question.
Yeah, so
do not get ahead.
I mean, what were some of the emotions? So what led to how did you guys find out about the cancer? Like, you just went to the doctor, or did you have what kind of cancer was it?
Rectal.
Okay. Wow. So.
Which is very common cancer.
Yes. Yeah. So, so I guess doctor's visit, how you found out then, yeah. Mm-hmm. So,
but I'd been having problems for a while.
Okay. And is that what you were kind of alluding to?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because, I'm a guy. When you go see a doctor, only when something's broken.
Yeah, not even then, because it's broken. You're like, well, I know what the problem is.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, why would I?
Why do I need to pay money for some guy to tell me what I already know is broken?
Exactly.
Jacob, I had hope in you. Come on.
I mean, I'm going to be honest.
We were talking about exceptions to the rule at the very beginning, and I was hoping you were an exception to
No,
those generalizations.
I'm not an exception in that rule.
Come on.
So she actually, I think it was a birthday gift, she said, hey, I set up an appointment for you to see the proctologist. What are those guys called?
Gastroenterologist.
That guy.
Okay.
So he usually says, Lori, you tell your version and then I'll tell the truth. Yeah. But I guess this time I'm going to say, okay, he told his little version.
Okay.
And I'm going to tell the truth now.
So was it a birthday gift or a Christmas gift?
Both, kind of.
Okay.
But it's not about that. It's just just that
that's a pure sign of love.
Yes.
Yeah. So
it's top 5 birthday gifts.
Right.
So my grandma had the same cancer, right? When I was young.
Okay.
We went through all that, and I knew the symptoms. I knew I had already had firsthand experience because I was there. I was one of the caretakers. I would go with her to the hospital for the chemo and radiation and all that. And I already knew kind of disgustingly, sorry people for the visual, but how that looked like, right? And those complications. And with my husband, it was happening for a long time.
Years.
To the point of I was feeling already negligent myself because I'm and that's, you ask about the emotions. So forever I was feeling guilty. I was feeling so angry to myself and then towards him because I'm okay, this was so easy. I finally set up, regardless of what he would say or the resistance he would present, I was able to make the appointment and drag him into that. But his birthday's in January, so my adult daughter came that December for Christmas. And because she knew he was having colorectal problems, and we spent Christmas together. And then one of the first gifts she wanted all of us to open. He's like, okay, guys, everybody pay attention. This is the first gift I want open, and I want Dad to open it. So it was, we should have brought it. It was a stuffed animal, but instead of a stuffed animal, it's a stuffed organ. There's this company that makes little stuffed hearts or stuffed, brains, to give to the patients that are.
So you got a stuffed booty hole?
You got a
Pretty
stuffed intestine, right? It was
colon.
It's colon. Okay. It's like, you guys get what?
A whole colon, little stuffed, pink, healthy colon. Okay. And she said, Dad, you need to get your crap together. And she said, here's a new colon because you need a new one.
Okay.
So we were all like laughing, and I said, don't worry, because the second gift is whether for Christmas or for his, birthday in January, you're going to go to this appointment. And then, sure enough, when we went to that appointment, he immediately...
Which fell on which day?
Oh, it actually was not until February 13th. Well,
it was the 13th.
But did he send you to get the colonoscopy right away?
No.
It was in February, at the beginning of February. This is how booked this gastroenterologist.
No, it was end of January.
Yeah, end of January. But so he immediately said, hey, you need a colonoscopy. And then the colonoscopy was February 13th, the day before Valentine's. And that was when they told us the diagnosis. That was our Valentine's gift.
Yeah.
Happy Valentine's Day.
That's right. I love you, honey.
Yeah. I don't want
Cancer
that.
it up.
Yeah. Don't want that in my box of chocolates. It's like, so you never know what you're gonna get.
That's
Exactly. Yeah.
Oh,
wow. People were buying gifts for each other on February 13th, maybe, hopefully, We were at the hospital.
Yep.
He was recovering and waking up from a colonoscopy.
Oh,
yeah.
That's...
lucky me.
Yeah. So all this is going on. So did that cause any issues between y'all, like, leading up to it? Because, obviously it sounds like you were like, I see these signs, and you were... telling David about it, right? Mm-hmm. And so, how did you're just like, whatever, that's okay.
It doesn't run in my family.
Yeah. So.
Yep. But I already knew, like, because of his lifestyle, his diet, and things like that. I knew you don't do justice. You don't do what and probably this way of living is aggravating more the situation, right? Mm-hmm. And then. When you ask that, I can think of anger. I was very angry. I was kind of even resentful towards him because, there's a point of stubbornness.
I wasn't doing what she was telling me to do.
Right? Mm-hmm. See? So
to maintain a happy marriage, that's the wrong way to do it. Husband, just do what your wife says.
If it's for your good. Yeah, so I was already
good advice.
Kind of resentful and mad and angry. It was really like, you guys don't like to hear, you don't like us to be nags. And of course, men or, spouses, you don't like us to be nags. And then you don't like us to say, I told you so, or I knew it, right? Yeah. And that's exactly everything that was happening. I was needing to nag him because it was his health. And he was already starting to have a grandbaby, at such a young age, etc. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, dude, we love you. We care about you. And we want you to stick around. And, there was a lot of anger on my part, a lot of resentment, with a lot of frustration, but also like this combination of this cocktail of emotions of feeling sad, feeling compassionate about him because of what was going to happen, the journey we were going to start.
So it was kind of like an emotional roller coaster there. And then, did you know why you were feeling upset and angry, or was it afterwards that you kind of...
Yeah, it took me a while because it took me a while to realize that this is just his journey, his path, his choice. At the same time, is interesting because it's very conflictive. Because not until I was determined to just get him to the doctor, it's not that it happened. So I was mad at myself too. For a long time, I was just mad at myself because I was like, at the end, finally, instead of me trying to persuade him or lead a horse, to drink water, I did it. Yeah. I made it happen, and then I was angry at myself because, like, I could have done this a year ago, but he was so resistant, and, he's an adult, so I was hoping that he would just listen and take care of it, himself.
Yeah.
Does that make sense,
Oh, yeah. No,
So I was angry at me, I was angry at him, so it was a compilation, it was so...
Yeah, and plus,
compounded.
With the stresses of having a family, eight different kids, a grandbaby on the way, like
work.
Work, that too. And how are you feeling going through all this, like being told constantly?
Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, whatever. Just chill. Okay.
Get off my back.
Okay. So it didn't bother you at all, or did it kind of like deep down, or?
I was getting tired of the pain.
Okay.
You know, because sitting was painful. Walking was painful.
Oh, okay.
Standing was painful. And it was getting worse and it wasn't going away. So I knew I had to get something done or do something about it, but I wasn't actively pursuing any course of action that would have told me what was going on.
Yeah. Okay. No, and I honestly, sadly, would probably be in the same boat. Like, Trisha would have to make the appointment for me as well.
Typical husband, male.
So can I ask that?
Yeah.
What is the point? Like, why the resistance? Why is it pride? Is it I don't have time for that? What is it?
I don't know. I think it varies depending upon the guy. I mean, and
we're always the one that people go to fix things.
Yeah.
We're never broken. That
is actually a very good way to describe that. Yeah. Like, we're supposed to be the providers. Like, nothing's supposed to be wrong with us, kind of a thing.
Right. We ain't got time for that.
Yeah. Okay. Kind of like a Superman mentality, almost. Not because we feel like we're the heroes.
Or invincible.
Like, there to help support everybody else.
Right.
Yeah. It couldn't be me that needs the help. So.
But
that's a very good way to put it. Thank you.
So he's weak. He's dying. He can't resist being sitting, standing, walking. We even went to Disney that summer prior to that Christmas, and anyways, he was miserable during that family vacation. You know,
yeah.
And we were like, "What's the point? You know, if you're miserable and you're making an extra effort, thank you." But at the same time, he was like, "I can't walk anymore. This is horrible. This is painful."
So it was starting to go into like other aspects of it too.
Yeah, it was affecting.
So once the diagnosis came, what were some of the emotions and feelings? What happened next? Like,
I think the first words when the doctor said that I have cancer, I'm like, okay, so what's next, doc?
Yeah.
What do I do now? And he's like, I don't know. Call an oncologist.
Yeah.
Like, you got any good recommendations? No, I don't. Like, what kind of doctor are you, dude?
Yeah. That's frustrating.
He had some recommendations, but then we had some found relatives that connected us with another source there, and very good. And then we went in very fast. Very impressive how fast we went for follow-up and all that with the CT
Literally
scans.
within a couple of weeks.
Yeah. Well, did it surprise you to get it, or when you got the diagnosis, were you kind of like, that makes sense, or like that's what she's been saying?
Let's see. If I think about it, it was like, well, yeah, okay,
Confirmed.
Yeah. Now, like I said,
let's fix it.
Let's get it fixed.
Yeah. What's next?
Right.
No, okay.
Give me a plan, doc. Give me a plan. I'll work with that.
Yeah. We do best with plans.
That's right.
So how did the kids take it?
Ooh, almost as bad as their mother.
How? What does that mean?
So the adult daughter that gave him the gift, she kind of
my new colon.
Yeah. Ahead of time, that was a very good and accurate prediction. Or she was almost kind of like me, like, okay, you've known this all along. You know, how dare you? What, you know, how are we responsible? So logically, like we were talking before the going on air, and we were talking about, you know, being more emotional sometimes and things like that, and more logical. And then, my daughters and I can be very logical, and then my boys can be, or my husband even can be more emotional. So that's the first thing that's where we went to, how dare you, how responsible, very logical, like, you know, you needed to take care of this a long time ago. But David was so the children, but then, you know, another adult boy at the time, kind of very showed his feelings by crying, and then I'm very much into communicating. And I'm very much into, okay, everybody, let's sit down. Let's talk about it's family council.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about this. I almost just need the talking stick or something.
Yeah.
But okay, how is everybody feeling? This is what's going on with your dad. And so at the time, they also saw something in his heart. They saw some. I mean, there were a lot of things that we were like, "Who are you? Who is this guy? He's dying inside." And so the kids took it, each of them in different ways, and processed it in different ways. But we wanted that communication open, and for them to, whatever it was that they were feeling, to communicate it with us. So.
And did they all communicate the same way, or was it like...
It was different.
Okay.
The younger ones, they were like,
okay,
whatever.
Yeah.
I don't understand what's going on, or what might happen, or what it is.
Yeah.
The middle children, it was different based upon their personality. So Kirsten cried, Kimberly cried, Stephen cried.
Yeah. And Jeremy cried.
Jeremy's the oldest.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the others, they just kind of. So what's going on?
Yeah. What does this mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
What does it mean for us as a family?
Yeah.
So one thing that really helped with all this is the way, like, nonchalant, like, okay, David was shocked or whatever, but then the way he processed it or manifested his emotions was with sense of humor.
Yeah.
And he would say something as ridiculous as, I have, booty cancer. It was something else, but I won't say it here just to respect Jacob's show. But
thank you.
It's somewhat clean.
It's fine, but
right,
it's just
that's fine.
We have booty hole cancer, something like that, right?
Yeah.
But to everybody that would walk inside the house, this is the way he would just process it or announce it, and I would just get so mad. But for a while there, I wouldn't appreciate that. But it got to a point where I needed to understand that having that sense of humor helped him cope.
Yeah.
And helped him understand that it was going to be okay, or whatever was.
And others.
Yeah.
I was the one going through cancer. So my thinking was, why should I be a burden on other people or have my emotions be burdensome to others as well?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, no, this is my problem. It's great that people can help.
Yeah.
In fact, welcome to, but I don't want to be a burden,
Yeah.
Hey, life is supposed to be fun and full of adventures. This is just another one to go with it.
Yeah. Maybe not the adventure we would have chosen, but
definitely not the path, right?
But I do love that mentality though, because you can't control it. You can always control your attitude, right? And so just accepting that certain things are out of your control, and then I love that I didn't want to come across as like a burden, or so like because I'm the same way. I love humor, and so I will resort to that, and that's because I think that's a way to help us get through sometimes. And so that also is my mechanism of choice. So and that's another reason why we start every episode with a dad joke, is because you can laugh, and something about laughing just kind of helps make things a little bit better, I think.
Yeah.
So very, very glad that you brought that up. Because you don't always have to be so serious. It's a very serious topic,
right.
But everybody handles it differently.
And I like, Jacob, that one of your pillars is resiliency, right? And I think that's what helped him, build that resiliency and be a good example of what it is. Hey, this is mine, like he said. It affects everybody in the family, but at the same time, he started developing a better attitude. Like once reality hit, once the truth came out. He assumed a very responsible, he was improving in his health. He was listening to advice and doing way better. So, and I like how also another pillar is integrity, right? So we were always dealing with the truth and nothing but the truth. and it was not until one day that, you know, you're asking about emotions and feelings and processing all this. One day I was so mad at him, but also he got his port in, like his port for the chemo sessions. Yeah. And
for our listeners out there who don't know, what is the port and what is it used for?
So a port, I forget what the full name of it is, but it's basically a device that they insert under the skin, and there's a small tube, and so it's like think of it like a quarter-size object that they will stick the needle into, and so it sits below the skin next to the collarbone. And then there's a small tube that goes from that device into a vein that goes from your brain down to your heart. And so they insert that tube to where that into that vein down to where it's about an inch and a half above the heart. So literally, when they do the chemotherapy infusions,
goes straight to the heart.
That's correct, and then it's pumped quickly through the rest of the body.
Instead of having to look for a vein each time, you know, if
it's all ready to go.
Right
there through the port.
So convenient for the infusions, and it helps because if they have to go through a vein, the possibility of the vein collapsing increases, having other complications. They just didn't.
There's a lot more complications that way.
Sorry, I'm for convenience and helping people out. So
I'll do it. Yeah.
But that's like a mini surgery,
yes.
A mini, very, very outpatient, very simple surgery. But he still needs to go down, you know. And when that day happened and the appointment, and he was in that bed, you know, hospital bed. It was at a center, right? Very quick in and out, but it was real. It kind of, the place looked kind of like a hospital, and he was going down for real. It was starting, like the reality was starting to sink in, and I felt like that's when he finally kind of took it serious. And it was like after a month of the diagnose and everything.
Yeah, that's about second or third week of March.
Yeah, so like the port was like the reality check, like okay, something's really happening. And then I'm like, oh, so now you're serious. And I think, and I guess if you're listening to this and have gone through cancer yourself in the audience or whomever, I know it's a roller coaster of emotions, right? And there's denial, you know, like the grieving process, right, we go through. So maybe at the beginning his way of coping with the jokes and all that was kind of like a denial, but now reality was sinking. And that's where we got very kind of more sentimental, if that's the word, more like obvious emotions and all that. And I think that night at home, we really had a heart-to-heart. And then he started crying, and we both started crying. And
I don't remember this.
There was a deep connection there. You don't want to remember. So there was a deep connection there.
Block that off.
Because I feel like I asked him for forgiveness for me being like such a horrible wife in these terms because of all the anger and all that. And then for him to also realize that, okay, I've been a jerk, I've been, you know, irresponsible, whatever, so sorry. So we were both, if this were a movie, this would have been like the climax scene.
Yeah, okay.
You know, of each of us honoring where we were, trying to understand where we wanted to be at that moment and saying sorry and all that. And I think that was a very beautiful part, and that's why I say, like, cancer healed our marriage. Because, you know, like we were saying, like, we were going through the motions, we were living life, but then not until something like this happens and shakes our lives, you know, sorry, this is the life coach in me and all that, just trying to say something, lessons learned. Not until something like this happens, you don't appreciate each other even more. You don't appreciate every day for another opportunity, and things like that. Even opposition can bring us great things. And you talk about integrity, so we were being honest with each other at that moment. We became very vulnerable, and then like all the guards that, you know, brick walls or whatever were down finally, and that's when we kind of decided to work this together, work it out, and move forward.
Very nice. And so, like, it really took, like, the port going in for, like, the reality to set. And so, how to, obviously, like, was it like an instantaneous, like we had this conversation and things were automatically better, or was it still kind of like a process to?
Oh, well,
was it easier, or
the journey?
Yeah,
it's the journey.
Mm-hmm.
You know, people don't change from night to day. You know, it's not instantaneous.
Yeah.
So, you know, there's a lot of baggage that you have to work through.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, okay, so cancer, we're doing the steps. You know, you do this first. You know, we saw the oncologist, and the oncologist said, you know, you recommend getting the port, either the port or the I forget what they call it, the one that they put in the arm. Similar device, but it's in the arm. You know.
Okay.
He recommended the port. He said it's a lot easier, less painful, or just straight to the vein. So we did that, and then he decided on a protocol for chemo treatment. So all this stuff is going on, and we're talking. Talking about each decision as they happen, and what's going on. Different things are occurring in life, you know, because the kids still have school, you know, and she's working on starting her business. As they happen, and what's going on.
Sorry.
Different things are occurring in life. Sorry about that.
More ghosts.
It's reminiscent of like 5 minutes ago.
Right? Yeah. So all this stuff is going on, right?
Yeah.
And just a lot of stuff is happening.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not just with me, but with her as well, because she's trying to start a business, and you know.
So all this is going on, but life's still going on.
Oh
too.
yeah, it doesn't stop.
Yeah,
life did not stop, and it's like I didn't want it to stop.
Mm-hmm.
If it stopped, then what did I have to work towards? You know.
Yeah.
So it's like no, let's make things happen. We got to keep things going, and okay, so. Some of the good things about getting cancer is I got some days off from work.
That's nice.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
But, you know, talking about work and the support of people, it's like when I went into the office and I told my manager and our boss, the first thing out of his mouth was, whatever you need, we will be there for you. Whatever.
Wow.
And
so supportive.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Day one. I mean, blew me away. It was awesome, you know, and it truly was, because luckily I work in IT, and I was working for a company that, you know, we have the ability to work from home. We're supporting other clients, and most of it was remote anyway. So he's like, work from home, do whatever, days off, whatever you need. And so that happened, and it was, I mean, just being able to focus on something that wasn't a tumor in the rectum, was helpful. You know, I'm a guy. Give me something to focus on, and that's what I work towards. And so it's like I'm in the cancer center, taking my work bag, my laptop, and I'm on conference calls, and the nurses, they see me and they're like, "Oh no, there went the day," you know, because that's what we were. It was just comedy and jokes, and we just had a good time, and they'd poke me, and it was just, we had a good time about it. And a lot of my coworkers had no idea, none, that I had cancer and was going through chemo at the moment that we were on these calls.
Wow. Oh. And you're sitting there in the facility.
I was in the facility. Cancer. Oh yeah.
Wow.
It's interesting that celebrity that just passed away and nobody kind of had
Chadwick Boseman.
Yeah.
Same cancer.
So it's something similar. Like, he went through it and many people didn't know, and he made it seem like nothing. When he started treatment, he stayed strong, and we planned them for the weekend on Thursdays, right? So he went there and he was still working, but then over the weekend is when he went through the side effects and the discomfort.
Like
it starts kicking in, and by Friday he was still feeling, he started to feel bad, but then over the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, we programmed it that way. So I'm not sure why you mentioned that you took some days off from work, because...
Well, for the MRIs,
because he still
worked,
worked, like full-time, thank goodness. We were blessed that he didn't...
Yeah, I was still putting in 45, 50 hours a week.
Yeah.
Well, that's good. And it's almost like you got to have something to take your mind off of it, too. And you can't just sit there and just focus on it, right?
Yeah, because if you think about it, I mean, we've all heard the saying, what you focus on grows.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I definitely did not want to focus on that.
Exactly. No. So focus on something that you do want to grow. You know,
right.
I do like that. And I admire you for continuing to work through all that and trying to keep some normalcy too for yourself. And was it difficult with all? I guess you had 6 kids with you living at the house at that time. Was it difficult keeping them, or did they kind of like help each other stay normal? Like, because you're also starting your business too, so like, how much of a wrench did that throw into their daily lives?
We tried to keep it normal for them as best we could.
Yeah.
There was a couple of times where we asked for help, pick up the kids or take them to school because I was, doing MRI or CT scans or infusions. That was running late in the afternoon, have to pick up the kids or whatever. Normal for them.
Yeah, so, resiliency, right? Once again, one of your pillars. And the kids, we would check in continually, constantly to check how they were doing. But also, some days we said, hey, we're going to be in treatment with Dad. You're going to need to walk home.
Yes.
Or, they did. And they go to charter school, so it's not like they go to their neighborhood school, but it was still close enough that we say, hey, we coordinated enough. One thing also for parents out there or whatever, yes, talking to your boss, but also I made sure the school administration knew.
Oh, yeah.
And some teachers in elementary school, when I had one still in elementary school, I say, hey, if there's any change of behaviors, if there's something you observe, this is what's happening at home. So one of the school headmasters or assistants to the headmasters said, hey, and he told me his own story with his mom and things like that. So it's a balance between not posting it everywhere, not making it all public, but really communicating to those individuals that play an important role in your children's lives and your own life, like his boss, etc. Hey, this is happening. Yeah. And then that communication is really good, very well received in most cases. And in our case, it was very well received, and not for my children to be victims, but for the teachers to understand, hey, this is what's happening. If you observe something out of the normal, and you're a teacher.
And, and I was going to say, as a teacher, we really do appreciate getting that information for that reason. Like, because if we do notice a change in behavior, then we have okay, and we can kind of approach it in a different aspect or get different resources, help available to make sure that we can get the best needs or do what's best for the student. That's what I'm trying to say. So,
humor. I was just thinking as you were talking about the people. It was funny because I say that it's funny as in interesting, not funny as in funny. But interesting. My oncologist. He has a personality. He's very personable. But you got to think the business he's in is cancer.
Yeah.
And
not a lot of laughter with cancer.
Not a lot of laughter. Not a lot of good news for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And the percentage of people that are struggling just to survive to the next day is high. And so he doesn't see a whole lot of good stories in his life. And so I would walk in there, and he's just all business. The first few times, just all business. No smiles, just going through the motions, the clipboard,
the bad news,
the bad news, laying it all out. Here's the plan, all this stuff. And I think it took 3 or 4 visits with him before I got him to crack a smile.
So you're just sitting there trying.
Oh yeah, and then talking bull with him. Just life. We have other things besides
cancer to talk about.
Yeah, my BHC. Let's go on, and there's other things that we can do, and so now it's so funny. I go in there now, and it's like, oh yeah, we'll shoot the bull about the last vacation that he went on, or you know, the summer trip, or you know, our vacation. We just, how are the kids, and you know, what's going on.
Yeah.
And, you know, yeah, you know, we talk about the cancer, you know, whatever's left, or which there's nothing in there. It's all scar tissue now. But,
okay. Yay! Congrats.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, 10 minutes of our 15-minute appointment is shooting the bull.
Yeah.
And we're just laughing and having a good time, and you know, I like to sit there and brighten his day, because I know that he has very few moments where it's bright.
Very awesome. I'm sure he appreciates that. You know,
I hope so.
Well.
What he doesn't know, that doctor, is that David was so happy is because we not only did that traditional treatment, we also went and got help with another specialist, with a more natural approach. So we were combining both. I keep doing things. Those of you out there, there's more solutions and more answers to this type of thing. And David did that, and the doctor didn't necessarily find out. He didn't find out. But I guess it confused them. It confused the surgeon and the doctor of all his progress. But it's because we did a little bit more or different than the traditional.
Okay.
So
David
was very happy because of the results he was getting.
Okay.
Due to a whole approach. He did a lot of things. So that's my message.
But that didn't start until later.
Yeah, until later. But that's my message. Don't
limit yourself to just one
treatment.
Yeah,
or
don't think
doctor.
that's the only option.
That's
right.
So, did you guys stumble upon that from like other people or like WebMD? Like what?
Sort of.
How did you guys get these second opinions?
Well,
of sorts.
So
to start on that path. It really had to. Let's see. Where do I begin?
I know.
So in August, I had a. It was the worst point in that whole path, that whole adventure. That was the lowest point in the whole thing.
Okay.
And it was in August. I'd already received 5 chemotherapy sessions, 28 radiation therapies. Those are brutal. I don't ever recommend those. Anyway, so in August I saw the surgeon because the next step would have been surgery. Yeah. And that was the one thing I was trying to avoid. I don't like knives, especially when they're pointed at me.
Yeah. I don't even like them with vegetables.
I'm okay if they're pointed in another direction, just not at me. So the surgeon, he came up and said, you know, hey, to begin, the tumor on the colon, or the rectum, was like a large C, and it was about 2 inches long, and it was wrapped like the C around the colon.
Okay.
So hardly anything would pass through. That's why it was...
Ooh.
Yeah. Okay. And then it was a stage 3B, which means that the lymph nodes next in that region were also cancerous.
Okay.
So I had one that was the size of a large egg.
Ooh.
Extra large egg.
That sounds uncomfortable.
Well, that's why it was kind of hard to walk.
Oh, yeah, and sit and do all those other things.
Yeah. And the one in the colon was, think of where the exit is.
Okay.
Quarter inch from the exit.
Okay.
That's where the bottom of the tumor was. And then it went up 2 inches from there. So from the changes in the size of those tumors by August was that size dropped to about the one in the colon was almost, they could see it, a mass in the scans. And the one of the lymph node next to it was the size of a bean, small bean.
Okay. So it reduced quite a bit.
A lot,
yeah.
Yes. So, but the surgeon still recommended surgery. And I'm like, oh, and
Yeah.
that was the worst week.
Uh-huh.
I mean, I was very down.
Mm-hmm.
I was depressed.
So
And then in that week, that's when she found some other therapies, talking about seeing all this other stuff, and so I'm like, ugh.
I always knew about them. And I always said, hey, let's go to Timbuktu, let's go to India, let's go to Mexico, let's go wherever,
Yeah.
and to approach it in a different way. But then after all this treatment, he was still told the news of the surgeon still wanted to cut him open.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, my mom was telling me about some people in Puerto Rico. And it's like, hey, let's do this.
Germany.
Maybe you can continue working in Puerto Rico, being treated with these people. And then he started to do his own search. And he found somebody in our backyard, right here,
Okay.
local. It's an institute where they really do a different approach. And I think the combination of all of it helped him. And I think that's why he also was so positive. And so all of that is so important for our health,
Mm-hmm.
everybody's health, and all of that. And then David and I also watch stand-up comedy at night.
Yeah.
We laughed. We did juicing. I mean, I did hypnosis with him, you know.
Yeah.
That's
She
one
made me
of-
cluck like a chicken.
Yeah,
Okay.
right. People that have seen Jacob's other interview know that that's not how
Yeah.
it
Oh,
works.
that's
but
how that works? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I remember that.
I mean, it was a whole picture. So we as individuals are individuals that are complex, right? And
Yes.
David was able to be treated in many, many different aspects. And I think all of that contributed to his healing.
Very, very good. And so it sounds like on this journey, so you find out that you have cancer, you have this, like, wow, this is like actually happening with the port moment. You guys break down and you just let all your feelings out, and then you kind of go and you're working on it together. And so I'm like recapping in my brain as I'm just processing this. But and so, like, but you're striving to keep things normal. It seems like the biggest part was of doing that during the healing process. How would you guys describe your marriage now?
Still working it. Still work in progress. I mean, there's a lot of things that I need to do to improve and become
Mm-hmm.
better.
Would you have said that before?
Yes.
Okay.
I would have.
Okay.
I mean, there's only been one perfect man on this earth in
Yes.
the whole of time. And the rest of us are striving to achieve that perfection.
Okay.
So I know I'm not perfect. And there's a lot of things that I need to do to improve.
Mm-hmm.
She just likes to remind me of those things and redirect me when they happen.
It's good to have those reminders and redirections, though.
So I would say it's like 100 times better. I
Okay.
think we're more mindful of each other. We're grateful for each
Mhm.
other and the opportunities we've been given, the miracles and the tender mercies we were able to witness through all of these approaches, through people's support. I think he realizes now the importance of, yes, taking care of himself. You also, one of
Mhm.
your pillars is mindfulness.
Yes.
And one of the recommendations from this holistic doctor was for him to do more meditation.
Mhm.
And he recommended or prescribed basically a meditation app. You know, as a hypnosis practitioner, I believed in all this,
Yeah.
guided meditations and all that, and he would just think it's my thing. But now he started embracing it, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he was starting to live it and believe in it and go every night with his earphones on and release that stress and that anger and that hate,
Yeah.
hatred even. And that's one of the things the doctor started, he said, hey, you need to do this kind of therapy. You need to let out all these feelings you have towards whomever, from your childhood through, now, even if it's your own wife, what I'm like, yeah, add me to that list because I know you're mad at me about many things. But it was very healing, and so mindfulness, he even was able to tap into that aspect of life and his brain and his mind and his way of thinking.
Yeah.
So I think that's been a great positive impact and change. And as we change, like he says, he needed to change individually. He still needs to, me too. I mean, the process of the emotions, while I might have been right about it, but at the same time it was wrong the way I was approaching him or, you know, finger pointing him about that, and you know, he was doing his best. He was afraid of the, you know, how much it was going to cost to do all this, you know. And at the end, it turned out, you know, it's okay. You sometimes life doesn't have a price, right? And he started to realize those things, and he didn't. I remember his determination. When the surgeon said, "No, we still need to cut you open," he's like, "No way, you're not the boss." And you know, and I think that his determination to seek for other answers and finding those answers and abiding to those invitations to change his lifestyle, etc., really helped him. And as we are changing individually, yes, the marriage gets better. Not because I need to change him, he needs to change me, but we both realize how we need to individually change to then make it way better together. So
I like that, and I think it's not always like what can we do together, but I do it on my own and bring it back so that when we are together, it's better.
Right.
Very
You know, there's only one thing that we can change.
And that's ourselves.
That's correct.
So, before we go, do y'all have... I've really enjoyed this episode. First, I just want to say thank you guys for being on the show. But for any listeners out there, maybe the couples or other married peoples... That's what we call them, right? Married people?
Married people?
Yeah.
Couples?
Yeah, couples. Or people that are... couples that are going through cancer themselves. Do y'all have any advice or tips? One tip to give them?
One?
2.
There's a lot
Well,
to say, but
If you had
that would be difficult because each cancer patient's journey is different and
Yeah.
unique. But I think the one that I would really like to share is look at the blessings that you have currently, even in that journey of so much stress, and look at the bright side.
Yeah.
Look at what you have and count your blessings. It may not look good overall, but there's always the bright spots in there, and cling to those.
Yeah. I like it. Anything you wanted to add?
definitely, yeah, like him, stay positive.
Okay.
Stay positive, count your blessings. I know the blog of someone that actually passed away, and he was an inspiration. If he needed to say, I'm in a bad mood today, I'm angry, he never held it against, his highest power. It was just his humanness. But I love about this individual that passed, that he, even though he passed away and he knew it was coming, he stayed so positive, and he was a help for others, and he felt like he had a responsibility to enlighten others people's life and lift some of their burdens with his positive message. Well, and with David and us, we learned the same. We learned that staying positive, keeping the faith, and letting the universe, God, whatever, handle it for us according to their will. But as long as we're doing the best to progress and move forward and grow out of the adversity and opposition, and to build that resiliency, and be happy.
I love it, man. So, thank you guys so much for being on the show. Like I said before, I really enjoyed this episode, getting to sit here and just hear y'all's story, and I know our listeners did too. So, thank you. And for all of those listeners out there, thank you guys for tuning in. And if you get the choice, choose positivity. Y'all have a good night.
Thanks.